can. And you'll notice that we are in a slightly different location today. We are downstairs in front of my literary fiction shelves so that I can introduce to you a special project. I am here to introduce my ABC challenge. Essentially, the reason for this challenge is because I have realised that recently I have been massively neglecting my literary fiction books, and that is not because I don't want to read them or not because I'm not interested in new releases, because I am still hauling them, but simply because they are downstairs in my house. And although these books are down here and they look very beautiful on these shelves, when I am picking books or jonesing for a book to read, I'm usually upstairs in my study, which is where I do all of my filming and editing usually, and so these shelves just kind of get neglected. And because of that, I have quite a few books on these shelves that go back several years in my collection, and I have not touched them, so they've become slightly intimidating just by virtue of how long they have been there. So I decided to put together a challenge to get myself through my literary fiction TBR. In this video I am going to give you a brief overview of the challenge. If you would like to participate, I am going to give you my list of personal rules which you may adapt to suit your own purposes, and then after this video I have already filmed and will be putting together and uploading a shelf tour of all of my literary fiction books so you can see exactly what I will be working with. These shelves are arranged in alphabetical order by author surname, and that is how I am going to be putting the challenge together. So I'll be working from the very first book on my shelf, which is Dorothy Allison's Bastard Out of Carolina, which I have already read, all the way down to the last book on my shelf, which is Edith Wharton's The House of Mirth. Here are the rules. Rule number 1. I have to work my way chronologically from A to Z. That means that I have to start with the A authors and read a book from there before I can move on to the B authors. Rule number 2. I can read any of those A authors in any order in amongst them that I want, but I must give preference to the older books on my shelf. So that means that if I put on a brand new release which I have just hauled and I want to read it desperately, I am allowed, but then I must also read one of the older books on my shelves, and by older I mean anything which is over a year old. I have some on there which are 5 years old, guys. 5 years old. Rule number 3. I have a few of the books on my literary fiction shelf also on audiobook. And because my preference of audiobook is mystery, thriller, memoir and classic in that order, I often don't get to the literary fiction ones. So if I do hit one of the letters on my shelf and I want to listen to an audiobook, that is a-okay. But because I steam through audiobooks, I have to read a physical book also off those shelves. So that means if I choose to listen to one of these books in audiobook, I have to read 2 from that letter before I'm allowed to move on, because otherwise it's kind of like cheating. And rule number 4, it doesn't count if it's under 50 pages. And finally, rule number 5, when I get to the bottom of the alphabet, if I still have books left, which I think I will, on my literary fiction shelf which I have not read, I have to start right back at A again and work my way through. And I also suspect that this might keep me from hauling quite as many literary fiction books for a little while until I get the number on this shelf down a little bit. And no, I haven't counted them and I don't intend to, because that would be terrifying. So I hope that you guys are as excited for my ABC challenge as I am. If you would like to steal this challenge and do it with one of your genres or all of your books but in alphabetical order, then please do. All I ask is that you let me see what you're doing and you link me so that I can show it to everybody else and we can all suffer together. I mean, be productive and get through our books together. I will speak to you guys soon. Bye!